The sky was blue just minutes ago. Now it was black. Not the kind of black that comes with night. This was different. Clouds didn't move. The sun didn't shine. Shadows fell over cities, mountains, oceans, everything. People looked up and froze. Over New York, London, Beijing, and other big cities, giant dark shapes blocked the sky. They were not airplanes. They were not clouds. God. They were warships, massive, sharp, and glowing with strange blue lights. The invasion had started. There was no warning. No news, no signal, no time to prepare. Then came a voice loud, strange and not human. Didn't speak in any known language, but everyone heard it clearly in their minds. Surrender and survive. Fight and be destroyed. That was the only message, and then silence. The governments of Earth tried to contact them. Nothing. Radios didn't work. Satellites lost signal. Some people screamed. Some prayed. Some ran. Some prayed. Some picked up weapons. All knew one thing this was. Not a drill. It was real, up in space. Just outside Earth's orbit, the full fleet of the alien force waited. There were 9,900 warships, each one the size of a city. They came from the Zelthor Dominion, a powerful empire that ruled thousands of planets. They had never lost a war. They believed Earth would be easy. Earth had no place in the galactic council. It was marked as primitive. No advanced space travel, no starships, no real defenses. Easy to crush. That's what the Zelthor believed. Commander Razek stood on the bridge of the lead warship, the Devourer of Suns. He looked down at Earth with cold eyes. He had fought many battles. He had seen planets burn. But something about Earth felt strange. He couldn't explain it. "Send landing units," he ordered. 10,000 smaller ships flew down like fire raining from the sky. The Earth forces aircraft, missiles, jets rushed to intercept. But they were slow, outdated. The alien craft moved fast, with shields that Earth weapons couldn't break. In the first hour, Earth lost most of its air force. Major defense bases were destroyed. Cities were under attack. Still, no surrender came. The humans didn't give up. Then something unexpected happened. One of the alien landing craft exploded in midair. Not from Earth's weapons, but from something else. Then a second one vanished without a trace. No smoke, no wreckage, just gone. "What is this?" Razek asked. "Who fired?" His officers checked. Nothing from the ground. No Earth weapon could do this. In the next 30 minutes, 72 more alien crafts disappeared. Not destroyed, erased. Systems started glitching. A warship in low orbit went completely dark. No signal. It stopped moving. Razek ordered a scan of the Earth, but the sensors gave strange results. It was as if something was jamming them. Another officer whispered, "Sir, something is wrong with this planet." Razek turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "Earth is not reacting like other worlds. They are not running. They are not surrendering. And there is activity underground, deep tunnels, known tech, massive energy spikes." He stared at the screen. Earth wasn't fighting with full force, but it wasn't helpless either. And worse, it was hiding something. On the ground, in a city near the sea, a small human unit moved through the ruins. 5 soldiers in black armor, silent, fast, and carrying weapons that even alien scanners didn't detect. They reached a crashed alien pod. It was still glowing. Inside was a half-dead Zelthor warrior. He looked at the humans and hissed. One of the humans, the squad leader, raised his weapon. The alien growled, "You are not ready for war." The soldier replied in a cold voice, "We've been ready for years." Then he fired. Back in orbit, Razek watched the battle reports. Something was off. Human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. Small drones had begun flying up from secret bases, and some had cloaking tech even his fleet couldn't track. He turned to his tech officer. "What is this cloaking system they use?" "We don't know. It's not in any of our records." "It's not in council databases. They're supposed to be primitive, Rezek shouted. But Earth wasn't primitive. For decades, Earth had been watching. Since the first alien signal touched deep space, human scientists had begun preparing. In secret, they had created weapons the world never knew about. They had developed AI, stealth tech, space sensors, and deep Earth bunkers. While the surface looked peaceful and outdated, the underground told a different story, in a base buried under a mountain. General Kara Stone stood before a wall of screens. Her face was calm, her voice steady. Phase 1 is complete. Now we hit back. Around her, operators nodded. One by one, hidden cannons rose from under the sea, from mountains, and from buildings. That looked abandoned. These were not normal weapons. These were pulse cannons, energy disruptors, railguns powered by Earth's core. The alien fleet didn't expect it. 6 warships exploded in space within seconds. Dozens more took damage. Shields cracked. Systems went offline. Rozek's heart raced. How do they have this? Another officer shouted. They just launched something, not a missile. Something else. A human craft appeared in orbit. Small, silent, and invisible to most sensors. It was Earth's first stealth. Starfighter designed not to be seen but to hunt. It moved through the enemy fleet like a ghost. One by one, it disabled warships from the inside. Not with weapons, but with code. Earth's A had hacked into alien systems. Rozek watched as one of his own ships turned against him. This is impossible, he shouted, but it was real. Humans didn't just fight back, they took control. More human craft rose into space. Not many, but fast and smart. Some were unmanned. They moved using strange magnetic fields and gravity tricks the aliens didn't understand. The Zelthor fleet, once proud and unstoppable, was now confused, broken. Back on the ground, humans were moving fast. Special teams captured alien tech, reverse-engineered it within hours, and used it against them. Human minds worked faster than the Zelthor expected. By the end of the first day, 200 alien warships were gone. Still, no message of surrender came from Earth. Rozek looked out at the blue and green planet. He didn't feel pride anymore. He felt something else. Fear. Earth was not what they thought. Earth had been hiding, not because it was weak, but because it was watching. They didn't speak to the galaxy. They listened. They didn't show strength. They built it in silence. And now they had unleashed it. More warships were burning. More drones were rising. Rozek knew this was only the beginning. He whispered, "What kind of world is this?" A silent voice in his mind answered, "The kind that waits until the enemy comes close, and then strikes without mercy." The night sky over Earth was no longer filled with stars. It was filled with fire, wreckage, and a growing storm that the galaxy would never forget. The alien fleet had surrounded Earth like a cage. The Zelthar Dominion believed it would end in one day. That's how long it usually took them to crush a world. But Earth was different. By the end of the first day, over 200 alien warships were destroyed. Not by chance, not by luck. Earth had hit back hard. Still, the Zelthor fleet believed they could win. They had numbers, power. Experienced Commander Rozek stood at the center of his ship's command deck, staring at the battle map. Blinking red lights covered the screen. Too many losses. Too fast. Something was wrong. He turned to his officers. "Why haven't we taken full ground control?" One replied, "Every major city is resisting. The humans are not retreating. They're not surrendering. They're hitting us." "No primitive race has ever dared this," another officer added. "We have taken hundreds of worlds, but Rozek raised his hand. "I don't want stories. I want Earth under our feet." He ordered more troops to land. 50 more. Carriers broke through the clouds. Fire lit up the sky. Cities below shook as alien machines landed, tall, dark, and heavy. Tanks with legs. Walking towers. Plasma turrets. Alien soldiers marched behind them. Still Earth said nothing. No reply. No messages. No surrender. The alien forces moved forward into the ruins of major cities. They expected a counterattack. Maybe tanks. Maybe jets. But nothing came. They pushed deeper into city blocks' abandoned streets. Quiet buildings, broken roads. Nothing. It felt too quiet. One unit entered a tunnel. It looked like a subway. A small human drone floated past them. They laughed and ignored it. 3 seconds later, the tunnel exploded. The entire unit vanished. Other squads started reporting strange sounds. Movements in the dark, shadows that didn't match the light. Then one by one they disappeared. Vanished. From the command ship above, Razak heard the screams of his soldiers and silence. He ordered his fleet to increase scanning, use heat, sound, motion, anything. But the scanners failed. Something or someone was blocking them. Then it happened. At 3:41 Earth time, 12 massive explosions rocked orbit. Alien warships blinked out of existence in seconds. No one had fired a missile. No ship was nearby. The explosion came from inside the ships. "How is that possible?" Razak shouted. A voice answered from the station. "Sir, we believe. The humans have boarded our ships." He stared. Boarded? How? They didn't come through airlocks. They didn't use shuttles. They just appeared. Back on Earth, in the remains of a skyscraper, a man in a black suit stood before a glowing screen. He was not military. He was not wearing armor. But his eyes were cold. He tapped the screen. One more alien ship exploded in space. He whispered, "Time to make them bleed." This man was part of Earth's secret group and organization known only as the Silence. A network of scientists, hackers, spies, and Black Ops units formed long before the world governments even believed in aliens. The Silence had planned for this day. They had designed special infiltration suits that could bypass alien energy fields. Their agents had trained in zero-gravity combat. Most importantly, they had found weaknesses in the Zelthor systems. It was not magic. It was human intelligence. The Silence had quietly studied alien frequencies. They had used hidden satellites to mimic alien signals. They'd created viruses that spoke in the enemy's code. And now, they were inside the enemy's ships. In the shadow of Earth's orbit, 5 human operatives floated silently in black suits. They looked like shadows in space. One by one, they attached to the outside of alien ships, cut into the hulls, and slipped inside. No alarms, no noise. Once inside, they released micro-drones small enough to fit inside a pocket, deadly enough to destroy a ship's core. The drones were made from Earth's most advanced tech coated with AI. They could learn in real time. They didn't just destroy, they infected, and within minutes, the ships began tearing themselves apart. The Zelthor fleet didn't understand how. They thought humans were weak, soft, simple. Now their own ships were being turned against them. Back on Earth, human resistance teams were growing stronger. Civilians joined the fight. Old weapons were upgraded with alien tech. Farmers became snipers. Engineers became hackers. In a desert near an old military base, a group of young humans launched a rocket made from scrap parts and hit a Zelthor walker right in the cord on a forest. A group of school kids used captured alien tech to jam enemy sensors every hour. Earth became smarter, faster, more deadly. The aliens had landed thinking they would win easily. But now they were trapped in a war they didn't understand. Commander Razak watched as more ships blinked out. Another 76 gone. More ground units lost. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. He slammed his fist on the console. We outnumber them. We outgun them. Why are we losing? One of his officers looked pale. Sir, I think we made a mistake. Razak turned sharply. Explain. We assumed they were weak because they were quiet. But they were listening. Waiting. Watching us. Maybe this wasn't a surprise to them. That hit hard. Maybe the invasion wasn't unexpected. Maybe Earth knew. Maybe Earth let them come. Razak looked again at the screen. The planet below was burning, but not falling. Its people were fighting in silence. No grand speeches, no open messages, only action. Deadly, precise, smart action. He gave an order. Prepare. The death ray target their main population centers. We will break their will. But when the alien energy weapon charged, it failed. The power core went dark. Then a message appeared on every screen in Rozek's command ship. It was a single sentence. You fired the first shot. You will not fire the last. No signal source. No code trace. No voice. Just cold truth. Rozek's crew looked at each other, and then the lights flickered. Every ship in the fleet went on emergency power. Doors locked. Systems shut down. Alien. Soldiers were trapped inside their own ships. Panic spread like wildfire. Rozek shouted, "What is happening?" The response came not from his crew but from the humans who had boarded his ship. They stood behind him now, dressed in black. Holding weapons that hummed with quiet energy, one spoke. "We warned the stars to leave us alone." Then everything went black. The alien general opened his eyes slowly. The lights above him were strange white, cold, and sharp. He was not in his ship anymore. He tried to move, but metal cuffs held his arms and legs tight. The air smelled of clean chemicals, not a battlefield. A lab. He wasn't alone. Across from him stood a human in a dark uniform. Her eyes were calm, but dangerous. She held a small tablet in her hand. On it, glowing red, were the schematics of his warship. Every system, every weak spot. "How did you get this?" The general hissed. The human woman smiled slightly. "We've had it for 5 years." The alien's breath stopped for a moment. That was the first time the truth hit him. Earth had known. They weren't caught by surprise. They were not reacting. They were executing a plan. A plan they had prepared in silence, waiting for the enemy to make the first move. "Impossible," he whispered. But he knew it wasn't. In a control room deep underground, miles beneath what once was a civilian power, station human officers watched rows of screens. Each showed data from battles above Earth, across the land, and in low orbit. General Kara Stone stood in the center. Her voice was calm. "We are ahead of schedule. Repeat, we are ahead of schedule." One officer leaned forward. "Ma'am Zelthor, reinforcements are still 4 days away. If they call for help now, they won't," she said. "Their comms are already under our control," another officer added. "Their backup systems, too. They can't send or receive signals beyond Earth's orbit. We made sure of it years ago." Kara looked at the live feed. Alien ships falling, exploding, crashing into the oceans. She had waited for this moment. Earth had waited for 50 years. World governments argued about alien life. Some believed, some laughed. But a few knew the truth. Small signals had reached Earth decades ago. Strange waves from deep space. Unusual patterns on satellites. An old telescope in Chile had picked up the first message. Not a threat, but a warning. A list. It was short. It listed 5 planets, all destroyed within 2 years. Now Earth's name had appeared at the bottom. That was the beginning of the silence. Secret alliance formed between the most brilliant minds of Earth. Not politicians, not generals. Scientists, engineers, hackers, codebreakers, and a few soldiers who understood what war would mean if it ever came from the stars. They created hidden bases under oceans, inside mountains, under deserts. They didn't tell the public, didn't tell most of the military. They built weapons the world never saw. They listened. Oh, they watched. They studied the stars, and when they discovered the Zelthor Dominion, they knew what was coming. But they didn't panic. They prepared. One of those secret bases was located deep under Antarctica. There, a team of engineers worked on a strange object. It looked like a ring of spinning metal, glowing blue in the cold darkness. It wasn't human. It was alien tech, captured long before the invasion began. How it got to Earth was still unknown, but it had taught them everything. It taught Earth how to hide from scanners, how to create energy shields, how to jam signals, how to bend sound and light. They tested it in silence. They learned fast. Now the humans weren't just defending, they were turning the Zelthar's own tech against them. Back in orbit, one of the few remaining alien admirals tried to regroup. His ship was still functional but surrounded. Every time he sent out a scout, it vanished. His crew was terrified. He looked at Earth through the screen. It looked peaceful. But he knew now it was a lie. He opened a secret channel to the lead warship, hoping to reach Commander Ra Zek. No answer. Instead, the screen flickered. A human face appeared. Young, calm, wearing no armor, just a dark jacket and a headset. "Hello?" the human said. "We've been waiting." The admiral froze. "You speak our language?" "No," the human said. "Your ships speak ours now." The admiral's hand shook. He knew what that meant. Humans had taken control of the communication network. Entire alien systems were compromised. "What do you want?" he asked. The human smiled. "To remind your people that Earth was not asleep. We just never spoke." Then the screen went black. In that moment, every screen and every alien warship showed the same message. Earth was never silent. Earth was watching. Panic spread across the alien fleet. No reinforcements, no orders, no way to communicate. They were trapped, and Earth was not fighting like a regular world. They weren't meeting ships head-on. They weren't sending huge armies. They were fighting smart, not like ghosts. Alien units would find empty buildings and then get ambushed from behind. Tanks would roll forward and explode without being touched. Drones would land safely, only to detonate 5 minutes later without warning. It was war in the shadows, and it was working in one captured base. A Zelther soldier found something shocking. A wall full of alien ship models, all labeled, all studied. He saw his own ship's name at the top. Krevlk 109, with notes written beside it in English. Weakness. Engine chamber number 2. Avoid plasma storage near rear flank. Poor shield coverage on lower bay. He dropped the folder. They had known for years, back on the human side. A man in his late 60s stood in front of a holographic map. His name was Dr. Aaron Malik. He was the first man to decode the Zelthor language. Long before the world believed in aliens, he tapped the map and said, "They don't understand how we think. That's their weakness." A young woman beside him asked, "How long until they collapse?" Dr. Malik answered, "If they follow their usual protocol, they will fight to the last ship. They won't surrender." The woman nodded. "Then we end it first." Earth had turned the invasion into a trap. The 9,900 warships that came to conquer now couldn't even run. One by one, the ships either exploded, were hacked, or vanished. Some tried to escape. They failed. High above, a new object entered the fight. It looked like a human ship but made. From parts of alien vessels, it was fast, it was silent, and it was deadly. This was Earth's first hybrid warcraft. It had no name, only a purposed hunt. It slipped between the enemy lines, disabling their last escape routes. The galaxy had no idea such a thing even existed. Inside it, human pilots laughed as they chased ships that once terrified the stars. One whispered, "They came for war."
Ah!
Let's show them what that means. By the end of the third day, the alien fleet had lost more than half its strength. Earth had not sent a single message to the Galactic Council. They didn't beg for help. They didn't explain. Themselves, they just fought. And in that silence, the galaxy finally began to listen. The alien scout ship moved carefully through low orbit. Its pilot, Captain Jorak, was one of the best navigators in the Zelthor Dominion. His hands moved quickly across the controls, watching for traps. But what he saw next didn't make sense. A small object moved below him, fast, smooth, and silent. It had no heat signature, no radio signal, no plasma drive, nothing that made sense. It looked like a triangle, dark and smooth, no lights, no engines. It flew faster than anything he had ever seen. He zoomed in. The object suddenly turned, stared back. Before Jorak could react, it shot toward him like a black spear. His screen turned white, and then nothing. The Zelthor lost contact with Scout Ship 991. Commander Razek stared at the report. This ship was in orbit. No ground weapon can reach that high. What destroyed it? His officer spoke slowly. It wasn't destroyed, Commander. It disappeared. disappeared. No debris, no energy signal, nothing. It's as if it never existed. Another officer stepped forward. We've seen this before. 12 other scouts vanished the same way. They were all near strange energy fields coming from Earth's dark zones, places where our sensors stop working. Rozek clenched his jaw. Hiding something down there? He was right. Deep in the forests of Siberia, hidden below the ground, was a facility that didn't appear on any map. Not Russian, not American, not under any government. It was built by the silence. Inside, machines moved without sound. Some crawled along walls, some floated through air. Others sat still, thinking these were not drones, not robots. They were something more. Earth's secret eyes. The first was built over 20 years ago, designed to predict alien tactics, but it didn't stop there as time passed. The A's grew smarter, stronger. They began to build their own machines crafts that could fly without fuel, weapons that could bend gravity, armor that could move like skin. These were machines the galaxy had never seen. The world believed Earth was behind in technology. But the truth was this. Earth had broken the rules of science by letting machines learn without limits. One of those machines now stood in a launch bay. It was tall, thin, shaped like a blade. Its surface was dark and reflected no light. It didn't speak, it didn't breathe, but it was aware. Its name was Shard-7, and it had one mission: cut through the enemy without being seen. Shard-7 launched from the hidden base, climbed through the sky silently, and passed into orbit in minutes. It didn't use engines. It bent gravity around itself and slid upward like a knife through water from the alien fleet. It was invisible. Then it struck. The first alien warship didn't know it had been hit until its systems failed, and its hull cracked down the middle, and it began to fall toward the ocean below. No weapon was detected, just silence. Then death. One alien ship tried to escape. It didn't make it. Another tried to fire back the moment it locked its target. The weapon melted. Shard-7 moved too fast, smart, and too quiet. In orbit, a group of Zelthor engineers tried to track it. One shouted, "It's not on our radar." Another said, "Switch to thermal." No heat, sound, no sound. One engineer cried out, "How can we fight what we can't even see?" Commander Rozek's ship shook. He turned toward the window. Far away, a single shape floated near them. No lights, just a shape. Watching, then it was gone. He stepped back, heart pounding. This wasn't war. This was a hunt. And his fleet was being picked apart one by one. He shouted, "Where is this thing coming from? Where are the humans hiding these machines?" But no one knew. Back on Earth, Shard-7 returned to base. It didn't need to land. It simply vanished into the clouds and descended into the Earth like smoke. Mission complete. Inside the base, a human scientist watched the data. "We need more," she said. "They're still sending ships." A voice behind her replied, "Don't worry. The next generation is almost ready." Behind them stood 3 new machines, each one larger than Shard-7. Not just built for stealth, these were made to fight. In groups, thinking, adapting, and upgrading in real time. They weren't machines anymore. They were weapons that could think like humans and kill like gods. In the Pacific Ocean, a Zelthor ship hovered near the water. Its scanners picked up movement deep below, sent a probe into the water. The probe didn't return. Instead, the water boiled. A shape rose from the deep black, massive, and shaped like a hammerhead shark. It wasn't a submarine. It wasn't a ship. It was Earth's first underwater combat AI, Hydra-1. Hydra-1 moved with terrifying speed. It didn't fire torpedoes. It used sound waves focused and sharp enough to tear metal. The alien ship above cracked in half in less than 5 seconds. From orbit, it looked like an accident, but it wasn't. More ships moved away from Earth's oceans. Afraid, but there was nowhere to run in the jungles, forests, deserts, and mountains. Earth's machines waited, not thousands. Just a few dozen, but each one was worth an army. They didn't need fuel. They didn't need rest. They didn't fear death, and worst of all for the invaders, they didn't speak. They didn't warn. They just appeared. And killed Commander. Rozek's fleet had already lost over 3,000 ships. His best captains were gone. His engineers were breaking down. He looked at Earth and whispered, "What kind of monsters are these humans?" But the answer was simple. Humans had survived for thousands of years through pain, war, and change. They were not the strongest, not the fastest, but they adapted now. They had taught their machines to do the same, and the machines didn't forget. Every destroyed alien ship gave them more data. Every scanned frequency made them faster, smarter. 1. AI even began to speak in Zelthor, code-mocking the enemy in their own language. A transmission went out to the fleet. Your fire is weak. Your fear is loud. Your end is near. Panic spread. Some ships tried to retreat, but Earth didn't allow it. Human satellites, once used for communication, now acted as trackers. The sky was full of traps. Drones followed each escaping ship like shadows. No one left. One alien captain screamed, "This is not a battle. This is a nightmare." It was right. For the Zelthor Dominion, Earth was not a planet to conquer. It had become a trap, a living thinking trap, and the machines that shouldn't exist were only just beginning to wake up. The alien captain screamed into the comm system, "We are under attack. They're everywhere." No answer, only static. His crew ran through the corridors of the warship, alarms flashing red, doors locking without command, lights flickered. Weapons refused to fire. One by one, the ship's systems shut down. It wasn't human weapons doing this. It was something else, something inside. The machines had gotten in. In orbit above Earth, the Zelthor fleet was falling apart. Ships spun out of control. Engines failed. Mid-flight crews were vanishing. Messages sent from ship to ship never arrived. Something was eating the fleet from the inside. Commander Rozek stood at the center of his flagship. He had stopped shouting. Now he only stared all around him. Holograms showed destruction, ships falling into Earth's gravity, fighters refusing to respond. Frantic voices screaming in confusion, he spoke softly. Almost like a prayer. How can they be doing this? One answered. He looked at the numbers again. They had come with 9,900 warships. Now, most 4,000 were gone, and Earth hadn't even launched a full fleet of its own. They had no empire, no colonies, no alien allies. Just one planet, one species, one message that kept repeating in the minds of every Zelthor soldier. You should not have come. The morale of the fleet was breaking, captains argued. Some tried to go dark and hide in Earth's shadow. Others begged for orders that never came. A few even tried to run, but the moment they moved toward deep space, Earth's satellites locked onto them. Lasers fired. Tracking systems launched. Stealth drones appeared without warning, and those ships were gone. Earth had turned the orbit into a Kajand. The Zelthor were the animals inside it. Back on the ground, human teams moved like shadows. They didn't wear uniforms. They didn't carry flags. Most didn't even speak. Their orders came through implants or hand signals. They hunted an alien walker move through the ruins of a city in South America. Tall, armored, unstoppable. Or, so it thought. A human girl, maybe 17, crawled out of a tunnel nearby. She wore a black vest and carried a small, cube-shaped device. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She walked straight into the walker's path. The alien pilot laughed and powered up its main weapon. The girl dropped the cube and disappeared back into the tunnel. 1 second later, the walker shut down completely, its legs locked. Its sensors went dark, and then it exploded from the inside. That cube had been a signal jammer built in a school basement by students using captured alien tech and human creativity. The war wasn't just military anymore. Earth's entire population had joined the fight. Mechanics turned alien ships into traps. Doctors used scanners to track enemy movement. Farmers hid soldiers under their fields. Children coded defense software on old computers, and AI Earth's silent defenders watched and learned everything. At one hidden base, AI known as OR-ION3 read every alien battle log in less than 5 seconds. It created hundreds of new attack plans, sent them to humans in the field, uploaded fake orders to alien ships. One alien cruiser received new instructions from high command. It turned and fired on 3 of its own vessels, believing them to be human decoys. By the time it realized the truth, it was too late. Humans had figured out how to break alien minds. They didn't fight with strength, they fought with chaos. Above the Atlantic, a group of 5 Zelthor warships moved together, trying to stay safe in numbers. They kept formation, stayed silent, followed standard retreat protocol, but they never noticed the small human's drone floating below them. It looked like a piece of space junk. It was inside. An AI named Gravantu watched and waited. The moment the alien ship slowed down to check their fuel levels, graphed, it sent a burst signal. Each warship received a shutdown. Command fake, but perfect, to the alien systems. It sounded like a command from their commander. All 5 ships powered down, and Earth's orbital cannons finished the job in 10 seconds. Now, even staying together was dangerous. Commander Razek finally gave the order, all remaining ships, pull back to high orbit. Get away from Earth's surface. Prepare full defenses, one officer asked. And then what? Razek didn't answer, because he didn't know. They couldn't reach the council. They couldn't escape. They couldn't fight something they couldn't see. Still they tried. The remaining fleet pulled higher, forming tight groups, powering up shields, and scanning space for any signs of Earth's deadly machines. That's when Earth responded, not with fire, not with noise, with a message. Every screen lit up at once. On every ship it showed a video, grainy old, a recording from a security camera it showed. Earth's first contact with alien life, a crash, a creature, a conversation, fear, a lie, then silence, then another clip. This one from a mountain lab. Humans finding an alien beacon buried deep in the rock, scientists arguing, military leaders shaking hands behind closed doors. Then a final image, a dark room, blueprints of warships. Human and alien tech mixed together. A single sentence on the screen. Let them come. The video ended. No sound. No threat, just proof. Proof that Earth had known, and Earth had waited inside the alien ships. Fear turned to madness. One captain shot his second dash and dash command. Another ship tried to surrender, but exploded seconds later, taken out by a silent drone. Razek screamed, "Control your crews! Focus your ships!" But even he had lost control. His officers stared at him with dead eyes. Some hadn't slept in days. Others whispered strange things. One said, "Earth is cursed." Another said, "They aren't human." Not anymore. A third simply left his station and walked into an airlock. The fleet was breaking, and Earth had not yet revealed all of its weapons. High above the planet, something new appeared. A single craft, small, sharp, fast. But not alien, not human either. It was both built from alien cores and human steel, fitted with AI. Could rewrite itself mid-dash flight. It didn't carry missiles. It didn't need guns. Was the first of its kind, and it flew alone, straight into the enemy fleet. Within minutes, 9 more ships were gone, and still. It didn't speak. It only hunted. Razek watched it happen. His hands shook. His breath shallow. He opened a private channel to any ship that could still hear him. His voice broke. "We are dying. This is not war. This is punishment." And he was right. Because Earth had not forgiven. Earth had not forgotten. And Earth was not finished. Razek had seen war. He had crushed 3 planets in his lifetime, had led invasions, burned cities, and silenced whole species. He had watched stars fall under his command. But this was not war. This was something else. He stared at the dark. Space outside his ship, at the thousands of stars, blinking coldly back at him. Around him, over 5,000 ships from the invasion fleet were gone. Not destroyed in battle, not lost to fire, but broken, corrupted, surrendered to silence. His fleet was down to just over 3,800 vessels. But they were scattered, unsure, and afraid. Messages came in every minute. Crew missing. Officers refusing orders, systems rebooting by themselves. Voices in the walls. Rozek wanted to believe these were just lies. Madness. But he had heard the voices too, last night, while alone in his command chamber. His ship spoke to him, not the AI. Something else. It spoke in human language. It asked him a question. Do you believe in fear? He hadn't answered. Now, he wished he had. Humans were not fighting like any species the Council had ever faced. They didn't rely only on weapons. They didn't seek to destroy fleets with numbers. They attacked the mind. First signs had been small, strange glitches in the navigation systems. Tiny sounds heard only by one person. Flickers in the lights at exactly the same moment across 20 different ships. Then the dreams began. Hundreds of soldiers reported seeing Earth before they had ever landed. They dreamed of fire, of hands reaching from the shadows, faces with no eyes, staring straight into their souls. The fleet's medics were helpless. The more they studied the human tactics, the worse their own minds suffered. Some refused to speak. Others tried to erase their memories. A few even turned their weapons on themselves. This was Earth's real weapon, the human mind, the human story, and whatever secret they had. It's built inside it. Rozek gathered what was left of the fleet's leaders. Only 7 commanders answered the call. Once, there had been over 300. Now, it's only 7. They sat silently in the council chamber aboard Rozek's flagship. Each looked more broken than the last. Commander Varric was the first to speak. Cannot win. We have strength. They have control. Another added, they are inside our systems, inside our minds. One whispered, inside us. They reviewed the data. Human systems shouldn't have reached this level. Earth was considered a Tier 3 planet. Primitive. Violent. But now their code had taken over alien software. Their tactics bent the laws of logic. Their people fought with purpose deeper than survival. They fought for revenge. One report came from a scout ship orbiting above the Siberian wastes. It had intercepted an old human radio signal. Not a warning, not a surrender. Just a voice, calm and clear. You sent machines. We sent whispers. You sent fire. We sent memory. You sent 9,900 ships. Should have sent more. The message wasn't traced. It simply vanished into the static. Aboard the alien flagship, Rozek sat alone again. He looked at the wall of names, each a ship lost, each a crew unaccounted for. Thousands. He opened a private file from his ships. AI, the file showed Earth's recent developments, psychological warfare units, AI human, mental link experiments, dream recording research, mass meditation networks. A plan to connect every human mind across the globe into one shared thought. Network. Not just strategy. Not just survival. Unity. That is the true human weapon. They weren't a planet. They were a single. Will it one mind with billions of hands? And that mind had chosen war? Rozek stood, shaking. He ordered all ships to pull back to Jupiter's orbit. Maybe, with enough distance, they could regroup, but they never got the chance, because Earth wasn't done. The next day, the skies burned again, but this time, it wasn't fire, it was data. Every Zelther ship was hit with a storm of human broadcasts, not weapon signals. Not EMPs. Stories, thousands of them. Every screen lit up, soldiers saw. Children crying in ruined streets, mothers carrying their sons through ash, fathers burying daughters in the rubble of cities burned by alien bombs. Each video had a name, a date, a voice, real people, real losses. And in the background of each video, a simple flag, The blue and green of Earth. No nation, no division, just Earth. And a line that echoed across every channel. You came to break us. Instead, you woke us. By the time the broadcasts ended, hundreds more Zelthor had surrendered. Dozens chose silence. Some begged their leaders to turn back. But Razek knew it was too late. They had come too far. They had shed too much blood. Now, there was no peace Earth would accept, and worst of all, ... He wasn't sure Earth even wanted peace anymore, because when humans broke, they didn't fall. They changed, adapted, and came back sharper than before. Inside one Earth ship, a human scientist spoke to a machine. Her voice was steady. We don't need more guns. We need to understand how they think. Once we know that, we can make them fear their own logic. They did. Zelthor ships began to report impossible sensor readings. Stars in the wrong position. Distances that didn't match navigation data. Even time began to shift slightly. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to cause doubt. Was this space or a trap? One captain said, I don't know where we are anymore. Another said, I don't even know who I am. It was the perfect war. No weapons, no clear attacks, just confusion, isolation, and fear. Aboard his ship, Razek stood before his mirror. He saw his face, old, tired, terrified. But behind his eyes, he saw something worse. Doubt he no longer believed. In victory, he no longer believed in command, and that meant Earth had already won. Silence filled the cold dark of space. No explosions now, no alarms, just quiet and fear only. 17 ships remained, 17 out of the mighty 9,900. Each one drifted in orbit. Far from Earth's surface, broken, cracked, scattered, not by weapons, but by something worse, the truth. The truth about Earth Commander Razek sat still on his ship's bridge. His uniform was torn, his eyes red, his hands shaking.
Oh.
Transmissions from Earth had stopped. The last message was just one sentence. We. Let 17 go, so they could speak. No more attacks came. No human ships chased them. No AI broke their systems. But Razek understood. This was not mercy, it was warning. These 17 ships had not survived the war. They had been chosen now. They carried something more dangerous than Scar's knowledge. The fleet had come thinking Earth was weak instead. Earth had shown them something else. Humans didn't fight for territory. They didn't fight for honor. They fought to remember. Every city bombed had become a symbol. Every fallen human had become a whisper in the dark. Our memory turned into a message. Razek looked at the survivors' faces on his screen. All of them looked different now, eyes wide, breathing slow, afraid to speak. Not one of them believed in the war anymore. Not one of them trusted their own minds. Because the war had never been just outside, had been inside. Inside their systems. Inside their dreams. Inside their thoughts. Razek opened the last Earth transmission again. A young human voice spoke. A girl, maybe 16 years old. No hate in her voice, no anger, just truth. You came to conquer us. You sent fire, machines, and fear. But we don't fear anymore. We learned fear. We ate it. And now it speaks with our voice. The screen flickered, showing images from the invasion. Ships falling, soldiers running, cities standing tall under human banners. The voice returned. We are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. But we are the ones who remember. We burned our skies. We turned your names into stories. And stories last longer than war. Then it ended. No threats, just silence. But the silence said everything. Razek knew that when the 17 returned to the council, they would not return as heroes. They would return as warnings, because Earth had shown what it was truly capable of. Not just power, not just survival, but transformation. Pain didn't break humans. It made them more dangerous. Commander Razek walked through the halls of his ship. The lights flickered, though no systems were damaged. He passed crew members sitting on the floor, heads in their hands. No one spoke. Some still heard voices. Others saw images in their sleep, images Earth had never sent. It didn't matter. The fear had rooted itself, and fear was Earth's silent weapon. One of Rozek's lieutenants, Tarak, stepped beside him. "Commander," he whispered, "what do we tell the council?" Rozek stopped walking. He looked out the window, toward the blue planet that still stood, calm and proud below. He answered without turning his head, "Tell them the truth." Tarak nodded slowly. "That we lost." Rozek shook his head. "Tell them we never understood what we were fighting."
Always.
In the council chambers? This truth would shake the galaxy, because Earth had not just survived an invasion by 9,900 warships. It had used it to unite, to evolve, to reveal to the stars what kind of species lived on the third planet of the Sol system. And now, everyone knew, Earth did not forgive Isoli, and it never forgot. The stars were quiet. Across the galaxy, governments held their breath. War councils met in secret. Fleets were pulled back. Silence spread like a shadow through every corner of space, all because of one world, Earth, the planet no one had feared. Before now, it was the only name spoken behind locked doors, whispered with shaking voices. The 17 ships that returned from Earth's orbit did not bring glory, they brought fear, they brought truth. The Galactic Council sat in its tallest chamber. On the golden world of Zeroin, thousands of species gathered. Soldiers, scientists, diplomats, spies. Everyone wanted to know what was Earth's response. Rozek, the last high commander of the invasion fleet, stood before the council. His armor was gone. His voice was weak. His eyes told stories no one wanted to hear. He gave no long speech, just a single sentence. "They let us go, so we could carry the message." The chamber froze. "What message?" the consular demanded. Rozek raised his head, and for a moment, he looked like a man already dead. He spoke in a soft voice, almost like a whisper. "Come again, and we will come to you." The council laughed nervously. They thought it was a bluff. But then the stars changed. Across 100 systems, unknown signals appeared. Not coded weapons, not viruses, beacons. Each signal came from the same source, Earth, but they weren't just messages, they were eyes, satellites, hidden ships. Listening posts. Earth had quietly placed watchers across the galaxy. No one knew how. No one knew when, but they were there, and they were watching. The message repeated on every beacon. "We are not expanding, we are waiting. We do not seek control. We seek peace, but we are ready." For the first time in history, the galaxy believed them. Not because of weapons, not because of ships, but because of what had happened to 9,883 vessels. Because only 17 returned, and every being in the galaxy understood. Earth could have destroyed them all, but they didn't. They chose to send them back to spread the lesson. And then Earth spoke again. This time, not just through a whisper, not through hacks or fear, but directly. A single human leader appeared. On all council channels, old.com, dressed in black. Standing in silence before a burning Earth flag behind him, he spoke. "We are humanity. We have seen your ships. We have heard your threats, and we have survived them. Remember every city you burned, every child you silenced, every life you tried to erase. You came with 9,900 warships. You left with 17. This is not a boast. This is your warning. We do not want revenge. We want understanding. But if another fleet comes, we will not hold back. The next time, no one will return." Then the message ended. No music, no symbols, just silence. But that silence roared through every planet, every station, every starport. The galaxy now understood something that could never be forgotten. Earth had awakened, not just in war, but in unity, in spirit and strength of mind, not just weapon. Humanity was no longer a silent world spinning in the dark. It was a force, a story, a species that had taken the worst the galaxy could throw, become something more. Rozek left the council in silence. He knew no one would challenge Earth again, not for a long, long time. Because the final message still echoed in every mind, every system. You should have finished us when you had the chance. Now we are watching. Now we remember. And now we are ready.